time, but you know they'll frag out. You know they'll do some damage. You know they'll try their, they'll find a way. But speaking of fragging out, mxey just beams down BSD. That was a huge pickup. That could be a flush as well. I don't see Rupture going for that. I think he might have to respect this because there's just a wild mxey roaming the hillside. So at this point, that's a flush, and that's a good start.
Clearly knew that it was on this hillside. He was already pre-aiming out the side of the vehicle, and he's drove here for, a specific reason. Rupture will come back and take a quick peek at it. No. You know what? Forget him. It's not a problem. The calls come through now. Don't bother losing a sec. Western maneuver, even a central side. Essentially, the backside of Los Leones gets pushed out. Then teams get a really good read on where things are going to be. Schofield onto mxey. They lose one player, but they take another scalp in return.
Are we getting the classic first to last?
I mean, this is all the situation.
If there is a prime position, if it's a likely ending, you will try and clear it. And for now, we see Hall of Game trying to maybe avenge mxey here. Yuri should be a clean shot. It is 3 taps, and that's as comfy as you're going to get. Sitting in towards a vehicle, there's a little bit of a trade coming back, but it's not enough damage. That's going to be a worry. And bearing in mind, Rupture looked about as,
He's coming in for this.
Yeah, but remember the intent he had to pull up to that hillside. He kind of drove up and went, "Oh, he's dead. I've got to. Oh, I couldn't do anything about it." So at this point, he might be able to pick up his buddy.
Nope. You can probably do it if you're throwing grenades like that.
Like a bit.
Is that a smoke
it's
on
a bit
the side?
whiffy,
It is.
isn't
Okay,
it?
that's a decent smoke, but there's so much pressure coming in. The final player that hits this, that nade has to fall short, otherwise it's going to be slap bang in the middle, and it is. Damage is done, forced to run away. They've lost a second player. They've committed to the cause. They brought 2 of them in here. They need to be winning this fight out. You have committed to this hangar. Stand your ground, stay your feet. No, he's out of here.
Told you.
They've only got 1 left.
Look, after Rupture did that little drive-by of, no, I was definitely going to try and pick you up. He just, couldn't get there in time. They're straight out. Absolutely no sticking
yourself,
around.
Isn't it, unfortunately?
I doubt that that's an actual viable place to be. They're not going to hold back. People will full commit. And again, it is what it is. But at this point, again, it's kind of from Chumacera to Los Leones, just that big pack of players. Now, it could move. We could have that southern shift. Southern is... Oh, hold on. We're seeing some weird fights go down. So Na'Vi have just run over one of their own, but FaZe did just get caught by BBL. Now, that wasn't a team we were throwing into that mix initially. It was Na'Vi and FaZe, right? That was the 2 considered sides, and we noted that Fex was a little isolated. He got caught kind of as the last player trying to leave that compound, as Na'Vi reinforced it off the back of, I think, one of them getting the spot on him. Now, if BBL have line of sight, it means other teams have line of sight. So this could be a problem. It is. Look at that Qwizzy just waiting patiently for that push-up. Hillside is his, and it remains his. So Na'Vi, they're back up to 4. They got the res. That's no problem. And beyond that, FaZe, probably not very happy with how that went down. Kind of caught somewhat with their pants down. And the circle goes as we expected. That western road that leads out of Los Leones, kind of in between Chumacera, is where the vast majority of teams have set up shop. It's where they've decided is the best safe bet, and Liquid can frag. Like, there's no doubt that these boys can absolutely frag out. But I always want to say, like, is that a good compound pickup? Are you hoping for that southern shift? Is that enough of a slice of the pie for you there? Could you have gone for maybe the roadside? And now this puts them to the edge of the circle, right? So this is where it gets a little trickier, whereas the teams that are also in that kind of early positional advantage, someone like VP, Liquid, look at the stuff.
Everyone else, they're going to have to go on the hard defensive, and that's exactly what Team Liquid is starting to feel as everyone just wanders through the middle of the map on the main road. Liquid knows it has to hold this down. The same could be said for VP. A little bit more of an interesting position with the perimeter walls. You can work off the back of FaZe Clan. Again, should have a good eye line on this. You said they were down to 3, and that's totally fair, but it's a bit of a fortress as the church up on the hillside. They get a good vantage point, any oncomers that want to wander this way. Exhalation taking damage on its transition. Last player from Gear Up is looking worse for wear. One good nade will solidify his fate with the smokes down. If they don't see it from the side of FaZe, they most certainly will be able to hear it. Teams that are not inside this one. This is the more intriguing, interesting part, because we are starting to run out of land. TM all the way down from the south. Over on the eastern side, Vanir. Hall of Game. They have to come through a wall of individual teams. We've got ENCE, we've got BBL, we've got Heroic. Encapsulating the southern side of this one towards the north, you've got DA. Further into the field, you've got SMB. For Vanir, this will be a very, very hard-fought battle to advance to the next circle. There's not much room again, unless you're going to go down the other extreme, which is play edge and hope for a building, is just on the side of it.
But Rich, if they crash, if they can scout effectively, the DA are very split. And you're clutching at straws, right? You're in desperation mode. You don't have an easy compound to work to next. It's crashable. It's not ideal. It's still very open territory, and I think PiXeL's already noted it. I just saw him getting a couple of shots towards Vanir, so he was already aware. So I'm sure they're going to keep that in very much the forefront of their minds, because DA, they went to the slower side, the quieter side of the circle, which I think is a really good idea, because they were the ones that kind of shuffled that way. They were further kind of towards the, I guess, northwest side of Los Leones, so northeast of the original circle, almost, if you think about it. And they swung over the north side. They came over in and they were like, okay, well, we know that someone like VP and all the others will slot onto the main road. We can just take over Picardo. That'll be easy. We can kind of work our way in. Everyone else would already be further south. So a really good read from DA. But yeah, I do get a little curious to see if they get punished off the back of it. Let's see where this updates to.
Oh,
no,
wow.
They'll be laughing. Maybe get towards Vard. He's got a wonderful position here. They should all congregate towards him. Maybe reinforce that position slightly. Maybe, I don't know if you want to leave Pixel there potentially. He could maybe just hold that northern side if you feel you're going to get snuck in on. But again, desperation times now for some teams. They have to get a wiggle on. Exhalation are basically being kept alive by one singular tree, so congrats to them. But BBL, Heroic, Hall of Game, FaZe, Na'Vi, all of these teams now going to have to move on up. BBL going to slide to the road right opposite Liquid, so Liquid fans, deep breaths, folks, deep breaths. It'll be okay. Maybe not this game, but one day. Oh, God, that was...
Oh, no.
Raw. That didn't go very well. There it is. Clib's going to lap that one up, and FaZe actually going to go straight on forward. Where are you going?
Look at all the bolt actions that you can see on screen from SMB. I think that was two. That was a Mosin, I'm sure, and an M24. So they're ready and waiting. Center circle. This will be good for them. FaZe is pushing towards Vanir. This was the last house. And they're not there just yet. So if they can lean out the windows, there might be a chance. They've been slow on this one. They scouted it earlier on, but it doesn't matter whatsoever because FaZe is down and they are dead. All three of them turn up. And unfortunately, they will be turned away. Example. Over to Navi's little compounder outside the side of it. They have got troubles of their own. QM and DA are holding them dead to rights outside the edge. Through the smoke, through the fire, somehow he survived. The only knock is there. Cax will try and do whatever he can to get the revive, but the vehicle's just stopped him advancing forward. But it may have paid off. Now he can lay down, get the smokes up, go around the corner. He will have to hit the med first, I would assume. One stray bullet will cost the team its position here. Page and the rest of Heroic also on a transition. Now, what do we do with this one? They've been very, very stationary here, Lauren, and they are nowhere near the circle.
I really don't like how Heroic have played this, and I know someone like Toby is really, like, good at keeping track of how they play as well. He's very, like, aware of what they do, but I just feel they were a little too passive at the very start, and now it's come to haunt them. Obviously, you're always playing the percentages. Now, the shack that they might go towards is where I thought FaZe were going. That is still available. It's very open, don't get me wrong, and some shots are coming out, for example, they're just leading it so perfectly. Yeah, this is great work coming out from Na'Vi, but everyone can see this stray bullets just pinging on through. Gorgeous work from example, just laying waste to the opposition. Tokyo's down. They're going to be down towards 12 teams here. And yes, Heroic pulled up to the compound that I was considering FaZe might go for. Well, I say compound. It is a shack. It's not great, but Beamy's alive, and so is the other, and FaZe are dead. So FaZe may be biting off more than they can chew, and they kind of went straight in towards Vanir, who've already proven they are very solid. There's just a bush in that house there. Bloody hell, that really caught me off guard. At this point, though, Heroic at least can keep their heads down. I think that's the main thing. Try and play it late. We don't want to bring more attention. We are literally being, you know, kept alive by a chocolate teapot here. Just, it's, you know, melting around them. Now, beyond that, VP, I can only imagine the smile on the bathrobe bandit's face at this point. SMB, though, not a bad shout either. They're still looking okay. And question mark, considering that first game, Rich, these boys are definitely on my radar now.
They've got a good position, haven't they? They can control that northern portion. If anyone wants to come further down, DA going to have to make a big old swing. It depends how many people have scouted this one. DA would first have to go through Na'Vi, so they might be kept safe not only through the compound that they have, but because of the other teams that are also looking onwards of this swarm. BBL, it's a full-blown send towards VP. That's a big old run over, unfortunately, though. Your own teammate doing the damage.
Huge.
The mollies and bombs are already down. And so is BBL. The setup was perfect from VP. The execution from BBL, not so much, unfortunately. One knock onto your own player. And then getting out of the car into mollies that are already laid down. The area of denial, the read from VP was fantastic.
The molly at the doorway, the nades to follow up, like they were just being cooked alive. And the nade coming out, just, I don't know if it was BatulinS, whoever it was who sent it. I mean, impeccable work. There's a reason you don't see a lot of teams going for crashes like that. You got to be gutsy to just go for it. But now we're seeing the teams with desperation, you know, really trying to find a place to call home. There isn't much of it. You saw BBL having to full send towards arguably one of the best teams in the lobby, outside of them as well. Now we have Vanir on the outskirts, ENCE on the outskirts, DA barely in, maybe just a little tootsie over the line. Na'Vi in the north, not in yet either. This is going to get real rough in the northern side. There is not a lot of territory that's very open. So this is going to be punishing. DA can probably stay alive here They are just in that circle. Someone like ENCE, however, is not. Neither is Na'Vi. And after that last game, those two took lumps out of each other.
Tiniest of cracks on the roof, and he can still see through this. Realize where the smokes are.
Away we go.
Vanir is setting up for a good old push. The smokes, I don't know if they've got any pre-down against the wall. Maybe
Look
not.
at the nades.
Avoiding it. They're turning it for all but a moment to try and draw the attention away. They've avoided the initial grenades, but the first one's there. It will knock a player. They do get inside the building. How much time can you spend out here? The smokes will give them some respite, but there's a third team going to be flying by this. As Rustanmar will lose his life on the edge. Youth with a good nade could be even better if it strikes between those vehicles. It does not. It hits the wall.
And it's just sent it center circle. They've just, yeah, they lost Rustanmar, but they've just somehow just dashed across like 6 teams in the north. I don't know how they've done that, but you're right. Yellow's in that compound, and that's a bit of an issue now. Question mark, about to go right towards Na'Vi. They're going to send it in. Faultlessly is on the way. BatulinS and VP are literally kings of the south, joined by Team Liquid. So don't worry too much about them. It's all about the north here. Na'Vi are surrounded on all fronts. Vanir are barely sharing this compound. Oh, I thought that nade was bang on. It wasn't. Examples found Jembty. That's over towards very much polar north side. And it's all kicking off now. Everyone is being destroyed. Heroic, I'm pretty sure, are dead and gone. They are buried in this. ENCE are actually sweeping to the north. They're coming up for the fight. ENCE one in, Na'Vi back to the blue now. They're in so much danger. They've got a team to the left, team to the right, and now they've got nades coming down in front of them. Diggory's nade does find one. That's Faultlessly now gone. He knows there's going to be more there as well, but they're deeper, slightly further away. Faultlessly was on a bit of an island. Doozy did get that flush on Tiikzu, so now, and yes, they did push forward, but it's the two. It's Squeaky and Diggory, the two you got to keep your eyes on. Doozy is the only man standing now. And there's the nade from Mellman. Again, this guy's precise. He's seen that. Pops it right towards the smoke. Yes, there's still one player alive, I think, trying to go for a heroic res. But Mellman wants to deny that. He wants to try and get as close as he can. Maybe just see if he can spot a pixel out of place. Sweeping on through. He's not alone. He does have Qwizzy by his side. There's a spray. Going to reconfirm. Finds Vard. He knows there's more. And that's going to be DA gone. Na'Vi all down here. They are still with 3 alive. But alya was on a slither of HP and Squeaky's taking it away from him. Now, the problem for ENCE is they have someone creeping up beside them. I'm not sure which player it is. I think it's a Doozy. Yeah, and a Doozy just got Squeaky. That's huge work from him. He had Fate and I think it was Dante slightly further north. A Doozy on the west creeps up on the hillside. And Liquid, they're diving in. Liquid are going in towards Supermassive Blaze and Vanir. Jeemzz just barrels in, takes down Family. This is huge work. Where's this Lionheart version of Liquid come from? SMB take this opportunity to wipe out Vanir as best they can. They'll take the riskier fight. They come out with 3 alive. Rip9, Huth, and Lazar still stand. Liquid pull up with all 4 standing, all ready to go. And ENCE are somehow still alive in the north. And Na'Vi with question mark.
No time to stabilize if you're going to be SMB, unfortunately. With Liquid knocking at the door, we're just going to watch this fight unfold. They'll do whatever they can within the building, but we move on board with Fate. There's one, goes for the second. Na'Vi directly in front of him with a headshot. Will push him back for all but a moment. Both players are tanked up. A Doozy. You called it perfectly. He swang around all of ENCE and he broke them apart. Removing one player, give them the time and opportunity to get involved with this fight at the right time. ENCE, unfortunately, while they wanted to get involved with the 4-way, they were not covering the angle that a Doozy took. However, a Doozy is now out on a limb. There is no cover whatsoever. Utility has been cycled by Team Liquid. They are trying to swap this building down. 3 players downstairs. This is going to be a very, very hard breach. We need to be looking for the trades, the refrag. Squeaky answers back, but instantly. Qwizzy's there to silence him for all but a moment, and it's Squeaky Man of the Hour who will deal the damage. He's not out of the woods just yet. A Doozy still last man standing here. Clib around the corner will be the first victim, rather unfortunate. That's no help, but all of a sudden Jeemzz is going straight in with the Groza to drive it home. And down goes SMB. A Doozy finally comes out on top for his team also.
Okay, while this happens now, you can see VP are starting to build that momentum now, taking that space from the south, moving slightly forward. Yes, they left BatulinS behind. That's fine. He'll be happy to take that second or two. Make sure no one's trying to creep the back here. Try and make sure that he's got good positional awareness. They now know where Liquid went. They know where Question are. They have full vision. Now, this will take something miraculous from either of these sides here to change how this story goes. Virtus.pro have all 4 players alive. They have great territory, and they haven't been in a great deal of fights. Their gear should be near on pristine. They didn't burn much utility dealing with BBL. They should have every piece of that puzzle. Now, there's a world in which damage could come in. A knock's a knock, a helmet removed. It can all add up. But it's going to take some real heavy lifting. And Liquid, they ain't in the circle. They're going to have to make a move somehow. Vehicles could be the answer. It's not a good answer, but it's a possible one. Jeemzz, it's time to go, bud. You're going to have to keep something in mind here. Maybe the pre-smoke's going to give you maybe that next step, the cover on the move. Good damage comes out. That's exactly what they need. That's what the doctor ordered. Bit of damage towards Lou, for example. Pushes him off the angle for a second, but you got to do that 3 more times.
Got to fully send it. Unfortunately, they have to go to the blue just a little bit, which removes the health down for all but a moment. Outside the window,
Ibby!
Melting shot, but the receiving fire in return will be real. It'll be catastrophic. So much damage has been done. PerfectX finds the first. And while this is outside of the circle, it's a damn sight closer than what it was previously.
But bear in mind, I love the fact that even at one point, BatulinS was left here slightly longer in case this came through. They were still considering this is their next move. Jeemzz has pulled up here, though, and spyrro seemed unaware of the possibility of this. Now, if this is the moment that Aduzi and Dante try and do something, that could give them the chance. But I feel as though if you're playing safe for your question mark, you'll play for that second and maybe see if Jeemzz can do something. You're not going to get involved yet. That's a shot!
Big.
Jeemzz, he's opened it up. They're not looking his way. Jeemzz needs to just get that heal if he can, try and buy some time, see if the rest of the sides want to join in and help him out. No, they don't. They'll leave him to rot. Question mark want none of that. They will sit back and they will wait for their chance, and now they will decide to strike. Aduzi and Dante, you want to take them on as well? Let's see how you fare. PerfectX on the lower side, spyrro up towards the top. The knock, this is the chance. This is the best chance you're going to get. You have to take it now. If you don't, they're going to be back up to 4, and they're going to be in prime position. Spyrro spots out Aduzi. PerfectX has him. This is already looking like dire straits. Dante's in trouble. He's going to find one. Great return fire towards Spyrro, and it looks like VP respect that, but they do have Lou back on his feet, so they're still on 4 players. Dante, no time to heal. The nade, so good. Virtus.pro